Right now, someone with less intelligence, less skill, and less experience is still ahead of you. Why? Because they project certainty. They speak like their words are law. They act like they deserve to win. And the world bends to that illusion. Meanwhile, you hesitate, waiting for proof, waiting for permission. This video will cut that hesitation out of you and show you how to walk with dangerous confidence that can't be ignored. Confidence isn't luck. It isn't a gift you're born with. It's a weapon you choose to sharpen or let rust. If you refuse to carry it, others will gladly use it against you. That's the brutal truth. The world doesn't care how smart you are. It cares how certain you look. And from this point on, you will stop waiting to feel ready. You will act as if you already are. That shift is where dangerous confidence begins. Machiavelli knew centuries ago what many men still don't grasp today. The bold win, even without mastery. The hesitant lose, even with brilliance. Power has never belonged to the best. It has always belonged to the most certain. The man who moves first, speaks with authority, and behaves like he owns the room will always dominate the man who doubts, delays, and apologizes. Confidence tilts the game before it even starts. This isn't about temporary motivation. It's not about a burst of inspiration that dies tomorrow. This is about transformation. You are about to kill hesitation, erase the servant mindset, and replace it with the ruler's identity. This video isn't comfort, it's control. If you absorb what follows and apply it, you'll never again be the man who waits for approval. You'll be the one who sets the tone, the pace, and the standard. You weren't born weak. Weakness was trained into you. Repetition made you seek permission. Rules taught you to flinch. Rewards conditioned you to please. Somewhere along the way, the natural instinct to take, to own, to demand was stripped away. What remains is a servant, a man who waits, asks, and apologizes. That is not who you are. That is programming. And now, it's time to break that code completely. That voice in your head, the one that hesitates, overthinks, and softens every word before it escapes your mouth, is not you. That is the servant, and unless you kill him, you will never be free. He whispers doubts that he delays your moves. He forces you to ask, "Is this okay?" But dangerous confidence comes when you silence him permanently and step into the role of the ruler you were meant to be. The shift starts with inversion. Every time you want to shrink, expand. Every time you want to apologize, stare instead. Every time you want to explain, hold your silence. This reversal rewires your identity. Dangerous confidence isn't built on waiting for courage. It's built by doing what the servant inside you would never dare to do. Every move you make against hesitation is another nail in his coffin. You walk faster, you take up more space. You speak like your words are decisions, not suggestions. Your tone is firm, grounded, final. Confidence isn't about thinking positive. It's about stepping into an identity that refuses to ask for approval. When you act as though the room belongs to you, something strange happens. It starts to. Presence grows when you claim it, not when you beg for it. The world praises kindness, politeness, and softness. But here's the cold truth. Nice men are used, discarded, and replaced. Dangerous confidence isn't about being reckless. It's about being precise, calculated, and controlled. A ruler doesn't beg to be liked. He doesn't dilute his words. He speaks with intention, and others adapt. You can't afford to be nice. You must become powerful. The two are never the same. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. What you need is the willingness to be feared, not by others, but by the weak version of yourself. When you destroy the servant, the ruler awakens. From that moment forward, your presence will carry gravity, not through arrogance, not through noise, but through certainty. People won't know why they lean in when you speak, only that they have to. That's dangerous confidence. Dangerous confidence is not about shouting. It's not about demanding attention. True power often enters silently. It shows up in posture, in stillness, in a stare that holds its ground. A man who doesn't need to be seen is the man others can't ignore. The atmosphere shifts when he arrives, not because he's loud, but because he carries the quiet weight of someone who doesn't ask. He decides. Look at the courts of history. The most feared figures weren't always kings. Often, it was the man in the corner who barely spoke. But when he did, the entire room froze. Silence is control. It unsettles people because it leaves them guessing. The loud man is predictable. The quiet, deliberate man is dangerous. Dangerous confidence thrives not in how much you say, but in how little you need to. When you enter a room, you don't scan for approval. You don't wonder who accepts you. You don't shrink or apologize for being there. You observe, you absorb. You let others rush to prove themselves, to show off, to fight for validation. While they scramble, you calculate. That alone makes you untouchable. Predators don't move fast unless it's time to strike. Until then, they wait, still and ready. Confidence is carried in posture. The way you move speaks louder than your words. Most men move too quickly, too nervously, trying to impress, trying to belong. You won't. You move slowly, deliberately, like someone with nowhere to rush. You don't need to prove. You don't need to sell yourself. Each step says, I already own this space. And the room will believe it before you ever speak. When you speak, you don't chase attention. You don't seek to impress. Your words are final, not floating. Each sentence is a decision. You don't offer suggestions. You don't dilute your tone with hesitation. Your voice carries weight because it is grounded, calm, and certain. That's how rulers speak, not with noise, but with gravity. And people can feel it. They sense the difference. And they adjust to you. Confidence is gravity. It pulls people in without effort. When you walk with it, others can't help but measure themselves against you. They question their position, not yours. You don't chase approval. You don't demand validation. You behave as though you've already chosen yourself. That indifference to their acceptance is what terrifies them most. If they respect you, good. If they don't, even better. Words are weapons. Most men waste them. They speak like they're asking permission to exist. You can hear it, the nervous laughter, the constant maybe, the rising tone at the end of sentences. That is not speech. That is self-sabotage. You don't dilute your message with filler. You state, you decide. You let silence carry the rest. Here's the truth most won't admit. People don't follow logic. They follow conviction. If you sound certain, they assume you're right. If you hesitate, they assume you're weak. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. The one who sounds like the end of the conversation becomes the authority. Your words must land like decrees. Speak slowly, calmly, and finally. Speak as though your sentences are not open for debate. You don't need to speak often to be respected. In fact, the less you say, the more powerful each word becomes. The man who talks too much is easy to read, easy to dismiss, and easy to control. The man who speaks rarely but decisively is feared. You don't need explanations. You don't need justifications. You deliver your words, then leave silence hanging like a blade. Let them fear what you'll say next. Your tone matters more than your words. The wrong tone destroys authority even if the words are perfect. A calm, grounded, deliberate tone is magnetic. It signals hierarchy. It says, I am not rushing. I am not uncertain. I am not here to convince you. I am here to decide. Lower your pitch. Slow your tempo. Remove nervous energy. Dangerous confidence is felt more in how you sound than in what you say. You don't win conversations by being louder. Volume is noise, not authority. You win by speaking as though your words are the only ones that matter. When you sound like the conclusion, people stop debating. They stop doubting. They start calibrating themselves to your tone. Dangerous confidence is not a contest of voices. It's the silent assumption that yours carries more weight than everyone else's combined. When challenged, you don't defend. You don't explain. You don't justify. Defense is weakness. A ruler doesn't beg to be understood. He states his truth and moves forward. If someone objects, you answer with calm finality. That's incorrect. Nothing more, no argument. No validation seeking. The moment you refuse to debate, you project terrifying certainty. The message that your reality is not open for negotiation. Confidence isn't about being right, that it's about being untouchable. When you speak, people listen differently. They lean in, not because they agree, but because they sense you don't care if they do. You're not trying to be heard. You're speaking like someone who cannot be ignored. That's the weight of dangerous confidence. But remember this, presence without control is fragile. Many men can speak well, stand tall, and appear strong until someone provokes them. One insult, and they explode. One silence, and they spiral. One rejection, and they collapse. That is not power. That is exposure. Dangerous confidence cannot be triggered. If you can still be moved by others, then you are not confident. You are simply pretending. The invisible war is inside your own mind. If others can push your emotions around like buttons, You are theirs to control. Mastering posture and speech is not enough. You must own your reactions. You must kill the need to explain, to be understood, to be validated. Until you master that, you are manageable. And manageable men are disposable. Dangerous confidence is built on becoming unreachable. Most men are painfully easy to control. Insult them, and they overreact. Praise them, and they melt. Ignore them, and they beg. That's not strength, that's programming. And it makes you predictable. But once you rewire your identity, once you stop reacting emotionally, you become something rare, unshakable. People can try to manipulate you, but nothing lands. They don't move you, you move them. That's where fear begins. Psychological reach is your greatest weapon. The man who cannot be provoked becomes dangerous. He's not emotionless, he feels everything. But he doesn't act on anything unless it serves his outcome. But that's the fortress mindset. Your mind is no longer a public space anyone can enter. It becomes locked, guarded, strategic. You choose what leaves the gate, and nothing escapes unless it strengthens your position. Dangerous confidence is about clarity. Most people are confused, bouncing between moods, desperate for signals of approval or rejection. But you won't. You will not chase acceptance. You will control access. Instead of trying to be invited in, you create the feeling that others must earn the right to be near you. That shift flips the dynamic instantly. You are no longer seeking value. You are the value. Rejection is a gift to the confident man. To the weak, it feels like a wound. To the powerful, it's information. It tells you who underestimated you, who failed to see your worth, who revealed their blindness. It's not personal, it's positional. If someone can walk away from you, it means they believe they lost nothing. Good. That means they weren't worth your presence. Dangerous confidence reframes rejection into fuel. Your response to rejection must be cold and calculated. No arguments no please. No emotional exits. You vanish. Withdraw your presence like a weapon. Let them feel the absence of what they took for granted. While they feel the void, you build in silence. Machiavelli wrote that men should either be treated generously or destroyed. Don't seek revenge, don't chase. Simply disappear, upgrade, and let them realize what they lost. Reframe every rejection. You weren't cast aside. You were testing the field, and they failed. They failed to recognize power. They failed to discern value. That's not your weakness, it's their blindness. Dangerous confidence doesn't beg for entry. It decides where it belongs. When someone rejects you, rewrite the narrative. You selected yourself out of a game too small, too limited, too weak for the man you're becoming. Rejection gives clarity. Most men wander blind, never knowing who respects them, who uses them, who fears them. Rejection clears the fog instantly. Now you know who is blind, who underestimates you, and where your influence doesn't reach yet. Dangerous confidence takes that information, sharpens the edge, and expands the reach. You don't crumble when denied. You refine, you grow, and you return untouchable. You don't seek revenge. Revenge is emotional, and emotion is weakness. Dangerous confidence doesn't react, it recalculates. You reappear only when your success is undeniable, when your presence creates discomfort, when the ones who dismissed you are forced to witness your rise. And when they look your way, you don't smirk. You don't gloat. You don't acknowledge. Your silence becomes the sharpest strike of all. Understand this. Rejection is never defeat, it's a filter. It removes what doesn't belong in your orbit. The weak take rejection personally. The powerful use it strategically. It's a message from the world saying, you gave too much. You were too available. Good. Now you correct it. Now you become scarce, deliberate, controlled. Dangerous confidence is built on treating every loss as a lesson in positioning. Absence is power. When you withdraw your presence, people feel it more than your words. It's the weight of what they no longer have access to that forces respect. Most men chase when rejected. You won't, you'll vanish. Dangerous confidence isn't about proving them wrong. It's about making them irrelevant in the process. Scarcity creates demand. When you stop chasing, when you stop offering yourself freely, the world begins to measure your worth differently. They realize they can't access you at will. That uncertainty becomes gravity. People want what's rare. They desire what disappears. Dangerous confidence isn't about running after opportunities. It's about positioning yourself so opportunities run after you. That's when the shift becomes undeniable. Your image must sharpen with every step. Speak less, mean more. Move less, command more. Let your silence weigh heavier than another man's speech. Dangerous confidence doesn't flood the room. It bends it. When others rush to prove themselves, you remain still, calm, measured. Presence becomes your shield, your weapon, your strategy. Every glance, every gesture, every pause reminds them, you are not here to compete. Control is built on unpredictability. When people can't read you, they fear you. The man who reacts instantly is easy to map, but the man who absorbs, analyzes, and answers only when it serves him, he becomes unreadable. Dangerous confidence thrives on mystery. You don't show all your moves. You don't reveal your thoughts. You let others expose themselves while you remain a fortress. That's how control is earned. Your emotional independence terrifies people. They can't move you with insults. They can't own you with compliments. They can't unsettle you with silence. Most men are owned by their emotions, and because of that, they're owned by anyone who can trigger them. Dangerous confidence is different. You feel, but you don't flinch. You register, but you don't react. Your calm becomes your weapon, and it rattles everyone else. Your identity is no longer shaped by others. You're not moved by praise or rejection, inclusion or exclusion. You are the axis, not the orbit. You shape the room, you shape the pace. You shape the rules. That's what makes you untouchable. Dangerous confidence is not built on appearances, but on identity. You stop asking who you are and start deciding. And once you decide, the world bends around it. Rejection isn't the enemy, it's the signal. It tells you where you've given too much, where you've been too available, too obvious. Weak men beg for another chance. Strong men treat rejection as information. Dangerous confidence absorbs it, reframes it, and uses it to adjust positioning. You weren't rejected. They simply prove they weren't qualified to keep access to you. That shift alone makes you impossible to wound. Your absence must feel strategic, not emotional. Don't storm out. Don't explain. Don't show pain. You vanish like a shadow slipping from the room. The void you leave behind makes people question themselves. What happened? Where did he go? Did I lose something important? That questioning is power. Dangerous confidence isn't about noise. It's about leaving silence so heavy that it forces reflection without a single word. Machiavelli warned that men will forgive severe losses, but they never forgive small slights. So don't waste energy on revenge. Don't play petty games. Instead, make them irrelevant. Your silence becomes the most brutal punishment. The world doesn't fear insult. It fears indifference. When you vanish and focus on building, you become something beyond their reach. And when you return untouchable, elevated, and undeniable. Upgrade in the shadows. Every moment of rejection is a hidden opportunity to refine your presence, sharpen your voice, and strengthen your posture. While others waste time seeking revenge, you build quietly, strategically, and relentlessly. Dangerous confidence doesn't announce growth. It reveals it. And when you step back into view, you won't need to prove yourself. The change will be undeniable, and they'll regret underestimating you. Rejection is clarity disguised as pain. It cuts through illusions. It shows you who underestimated your worth. And instead of weakening you, it gives you leverage. You learn where your presence failed to register, and you sharpen it. Dangerous confidence converts rejection into control. You don't crumble, you don't chase. You rebuild yourself into something so rare, so powerful, that those who once ignored you can't forget you now. Your comeback must never look like revenge. It must look like destiny. Not forced, not bitter. Simply inevitable. When the ones who dismissed you finally see your rise, you won't point it out. You won't mock them, you won't waste words. Your presence will be the reminder. Dangerous confidence is not about proving others wrong. It's about becoming so undeniable that no one dares to doubt you again. This is how legends are built. Not through constant noise, but through ruthless consistency. You stop explaining, you stop chasing, you stop waiting. Instead, you walk, speak, and move like someone who doesn't care to be understood because he knows he cannot be ignored. Every test, every rejection, every silence becomes fuel. Weak men let it break them. Dangerous confidence is about embracing resistance as the sharpening stone. You don't soften when the world pushes back. You harden. You don't shrink when ignored. You expand. Every obstacle becomes a mirror showing you what needs to be refined. And every refinement makes you even more unshakable. Understand this clearly. People respect distance. They respect scarcity. They respect silence. But only when it comes from strength. If you disappear emotionally because you're wounded, they sense weakness. But if you withdraw strategically, they sense power. Dangerous confidence isn't about pretending not to care. It's about genuinely detaching your self-worth from anyone's approval. That detachment makes you dangerous because no one owns you anymore. At this stage, you're not just confident. You're dangerous because you've become unreachable. They can't provoke you with insults. They can't control you with praise. They can't shake you with rejection. You've broken the code of emotional dependency. Now, you belong to no one. That is the essence of dangerous confidence. Independence of thought, presence, and identity so strong it bends reality without needing permission. Each no removes the unworthy from your path. Each closed door sharpens your direction. Dangerous confidence is knowing that rejection is not an end, but a redirection. It doesn't shrink you, that it hardens you. Rejection is not personal, that it's positional. When someone walks away, they reveal that they think they can survive without you. Good, let them try. Their absence only proves your presence carried more weight than they realized. It allows them to wander blind while you evolve in silence. Later, when your power is undeniable, they'll regret ever letting you slip away. The first rule of rejection: never show pain. The second: never explain. The third: never return the same. Weak men crumble under rejection because they see it as a mirror of their worth. Strong men use it as a message, a test, a filter. Dangerous confidence treats rejection as fuel. You leave silently, grow visibly, and return so elevated that the idea of rejecting you again feels laughable. Most people expect a reaction, a chase, a plea for answers. But when you vanish without explanation, they feel the silence. It lingers louder than words. Dangerous confidence doesn't argue, it doesn't demand closure. It creates an absence so heavy that the other person has no choice but to notice what they lost. Absence forces respect. When someone who was always available suddenly becomes scarce, the perception of value shifts instantly. What was once taken for granted becomes remembered as irreplaceable. That is the strategy. Dangerous confidence doesn't beg for presence. It weaponizes absence, not emotionally, but strategically. You don't disappear to escape. You disappear to evolve, knowing that your return will feel like an event. The narrative of rejection is yours to control. You weren't rejected. You were redirected towards something greater. You didn't lose, they did. They lost access to your presence, your value, your energy. Dangerous confidence doesn't dwell on what left. It focuses on what's next. And with each step forward, the past becomes irrelevant, while your future becomes unstoppable. Rejection reveals who truly sees you. Most don't. And that's their blindness, not your burden. Dangerous confidence embraces this truth. Not everyone can recognize power in its early stages. That gives you freedom, because when you rise, it won't be because they believed in you. It will be because you stopped needing anyone's belief but your own. Your comeback is not planned around revenge, that it's built on inevitability. You rise because you can't be held down. You grow because nothing external defines you. When those who rejected you finally see what you've become, you won't need to say a word. Your presence will be the statement. Dangerous confidence doesn't gloat, it doesn't point fingers. It radiates power so undeniable that the world bows without command. It's not about shouting louder, demanding more, or pretending to be invincible. It's about becoming untouchable in your identity. You don't need external approval. You don't fear external rejection.